They're all saving one, or most of the Hampshire fielders are saving one. Somerset need one run. It's Edwards to Hildreth. He's there and bowls Hildreth, and he gets the run away through the onside, and Somerset have won. They've won the Royal London One Day Cup.
Good evening, you're listening to Always Look on the Right Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got Steve Tancock. He's just muted himself to cough. How polite of you, Steve. Dan Kingdom, the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson, is currently so frustrated with Somerset's top order woes, he's absconded to Portugal and is currently struggling to get connected with his hotel Wi-Fi. But he should be here with us any second now. So, 11 a.m. Thursday morning, Keaton Jennings wins the toss, sticks Somerset into bat, and we're 80 for 4. After being, 25 for 3, something like that? Yeah, 24 for 3, 80 for 4. I was conscious last week that we started on quite a negative note talking about Somerset's batting, but Tom Abell's back, James Rew alongside him. What was effectively the partnership that saved the match, put us beyond a realistic prospect of defeat. It was quite realistic at 90 for 4 on Sunday afternoon. These two are seriously good players, and whatever you say about the top order woes at the moment, which I'm sure we'll get on to, who would like to wax lyrical about these two Taunton boys and how good they are first?
Go on, Dan. You had the privilege of watching them.
Well, only on day 4. Yeah, I didn't see too much of day 1, but yeah, it's not surprising to me that it was those two, I think, who sort of saw us out of the mire. Tom Abell was always, going to come to the party at some point, and James Rew, what a talent. He had a good start to his first-class career, last year. Even though he didn't score much in the first couple of games, he still looked solid, I think. And he obviously loves playing against Lancashire, because obviously last year when he made his Somerset first-class debut, that he scored 70-odd, wasn't it? That's obviously saw us up to what seemed at the time a good score. I mean, it obviously turned out to be maybe a little bit below par, but I mean that it may have. I think our bowling is as much as Lancashire batted well. I think we did bowl quite poorly from what I saw on days 2 and 3.
I thought we bowled the right day 3. I thought day 3. I didn't see a lot of day 2 or any of day 2 really, because I was out and about. But from what people said and comments from people whose opinions I trust, not the usual sort of doom mongers, it was they've not bowled particularly well at all today. Saturday they had a little go with a bouncer to Jennings, Aldridge in particular, and a top edge one that went into the lower tier of the Truscoffic stand, another one over fine leg, and then they stopped it. So at least they were trying something. But I thought Siddle and Gregory in particular bowled really well, just to try and contain, because that pitch looked flat as a pancake.
It's once we took the new ball, I think that seemed to be when things changed on day 3.
I'll tell you what changed on day 3 when Keaton Jennings retired hurt the 79th over. That helped. That was looked like the only way we get rid of him.
I think on day 2 we just looked so laboured at times on day 2. Like some of the boundaries that Lancashire batters hit were just utterly dismissive. It was a bit like a overseas pro against a third 11 bowler in a club match at times. Like it just the manner of the way the boundaries were hit, it felt utterly dismissive. But yeah, as you say, we certainly improved with the ball. Yeah, and I think Siddle bowled well. In particular, I think he managed to keep a lid on things at times. Obviously Leach, I think we'll probably come on to him, worrying that he's finding it difficult to keep a lid on the runs, isn't he?
Yeah, Steve, I can't remember whether you put it on Twitter or you emailed me or texted me or whatever, but you said, I'm struggling to count how many sessions Somerset have won this season. I reckon they won 1, 2, 3, 4. I reckon they won 6 in that game, so you're on to 2 hands already.
Oh, I'm not so sure. I was. You may be right. I just maybe I've got a bit of a mental block at the moment. But my feeling is that if we lose sessions, we seem to lose them comprehensively.
Mm-hmm.
If we win them, we probably, with the exception of the second and third session Thursday, which goes back to Tom Abel and James Rue again, we probably edged a couple of other sessions, I agree. But I was thinking more of the season, just at the moment, I can't really remember getting into an interval that often and thinking, yeah, we've had a decent session. And I think we've lost the first session pretty much. If not every day, then most days of the game. And we certainly lost the first session of 3 of the 4 days against Lancashire. The 2 that we batted, and Saturday when Jennings, as you say, was batting like Archie McLaren, and Anthony was waxing Liverpool about Graham Hick at Taunton in whenever it was now. I think it is worrying because we'll come to there's certainly not an issue here that the bowlers aren't trying, but it worries me that they can't bowl, as the coaches say, bowl dry, bowl one side of the wicket, have strategy or be able to implement strategies on a deck like that. But we all know that it's sad that we're preparing pitches like that. I think somebody said on Twitter, "Is this a consequence of what happened against Essex in 2019?" I think that might be partly the case, but I think it's also a fear of James Anderson and his buddies are coming to town, and we don't want to get turned over in 3 days. But unfortunately, we've got Hampshire to come, we've got Surrey to come, and it's not going to get any easier in Division 1, is it?
No, every side has got 2 or 3 quality seam bowlers. Interesting that Notts didn't kind of go the other way. I'm not sure what state the ground is at Trent Bridge, but they prepared a pretty much a green seam. Okay, they've got Stuart Broad in their attack and a number of others, but they weren't fazed by the fact that we had Craig Overton, Josh Davey, Lewis Gregory and Peter Siddle in our attack. So I guess it's just a case of preparing a deck for your strength, and if the opponents have happened to share that same strength, backing your bowlers to overcome it, or your batters to overcome it in the case of bowlers.
I mean, I think the positive, Ian, is that Lewis Gregory clearly is, we all need to send him cotton wool to wrap him in all between games this summer, because he's already passed the number of wickets he took in the whole of last season and looks a real threat. Obviously, the other worry is that Josh Davies injured and so is Craig at the moment. And I'm slightly worried that, the vibe seems to be, well, Matt Henry's going to be the saviour when he turns up. I hope he is. But the bowling, I'm equally worried about the bowling and the batting at the moment, which is alarming, really, when you think how poor the top order's been. Is that fair, guys, or do you disagree with me there?
I think so, yeah. The top order... I think the top order batting has always been it's been a problem for the last few years. I mean, I don't want to start talking about Sean Dixon now, but we will. Not fair to sorry, apologies, Sean, if you listen. It's not fair just to blame it on him or pin it at his door. We've been in this situation for a long time, and to think that bringing in one player, he's going to be the saviour when your number 3's not doing it. I still don't know why Tom Abel isn't batting at 3. I really don't. He's going to have to go there when Bancroft leaves in 1 game's time. So why isn't he there now? I know he just scored 100 at 4, and I'm saying, well, don't move players if they're scoring runs in a particular position. But he scored billions of them at 3 last year, so he should be at 3. I mean, I've got the averages here. They're not pretty. Lammonby, 137, best of 66, averaging 27.5. Okay, not disgraceful for an opener in April. And I'm just going to let Gibbo in. Bon dia, Senor Gibson. Is that Portuguese? I don't know. It's a bit pig Spanish or something. Oh, he's straight in and he's frozen. He's got his fist up as if he's angry. Are you there, Gibbo?
Yes, I'm here.
You come in at an extremely apposite time because we are just going through the Somerset batting averages this season. We've done Lammers is 137 from 6 innings, best of 66, averaging 27.5. Just saying that is not particularly shabby for an opener in April. Sean Dixon, 38 runs from 6 innings, averaging 6.3 with a best of 19. The leading run scorer in Sheffield Shield cricket, Cameron Bancroft, 98 runs from 6 innings, averaging 16 and a third. Tom Abel, 4 innings, 206 runs, best of 151, averaging 51 and a half. Tom Kohler-Cadmore, 113 runs, 22.6, blah, 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 blah. James Drew averaging 37. Casey Aldridge averaging 72. Right. Don't want to bore you anymore with statistics, but just going back to a point that you were making earlier, Steve, about winning sessions and that sort of thing. Have we been in a position where we were dominant in a game? I know we made 440 in the first innings against Lancashire, but that was very quickly put into perspective when they racked up 550 odd. That for me would be the worrying thing, that we're not getting into positions to dictate terms and give ourselves realistic chances of winning games. Don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's my perspective. Gibbo, it seems you're late. Do you want to have first refusal on that one?
Well, when Tom Abel and James Rew were batting together, Somerset were dominating. But that's just about the only time that they have dominated so far this season. And even though they were dominating, the thought at the back of one's mind was always, well, if Abel and Rew are able to get these runs against the Lancashire attack, how many runs are Lancashire going to get against our severely weakened attack, without Overton and Davey? And unfortunately, those doubts proved to be more than justified. So, it hasn't been a great start to the season. And there are no two ways around that.
Yeah. We were trying to keep things positive, Gibbo. No offense, but just came on.
Positive? Well, there isn't.
Yeah, I
mean, Abel and Rew batted beautifully. James, and Casey Aldridge batted very well in the second innings, and so did Lewis Gregory. And they bowled well for a time. On I forget which day it was. Friday afternoon.
No, I think Friday was the day.
After they bowled so badly in the morning, and then they got it together later in the day and bowled pretty well. And Jack Brooks and Lewis Gregory at the start of the Lancashire innings bowled well too with the new ball, and then it all went to pieces. So it's we've never looked, frankly, as good as the side that we've been playing against. We've always been, Warwickshire dominated us, Nottinghamshire dominated us, and from the, after that opening burst from Gregory and Brooks, Keaton Jennings and Luke Wells completely dominated the Somerset attack. So it's, there's some difficult decisions to be made. And it's probably just as well they got the week off to regroup and hopefully try and get some confidence back in the group, because I think confidence is sadly and obviously lacking.
Yeah, no game this week. Our next game is Northants at home week Thursday. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? If you get beat, do you want to get back out there straight away? Is this going to be a bit of a stewing week now? Are things just going to be rolling over in their minds? I don't know. I mean, it's obviously a good opportunity to work on any technical deficiencies and things like that, and maybe have a chat with the psychologist or whatever, and get yourself in a good frame of mind. But you really need a break after 3 weeks. Couldn't they schedule these breaks for maybe after sort of 4 or 5 games when they probably need them a bit more?
It's 7 rounds to start the season, isn't it? So I guess it makes some sense to have the break. The break is in the middle of those 7 rounds, so I think they'll appreciate that. There's quite a few teams missing this week, isn't there? So I'm guessing they sort of intended to have as many teams as possible on their break this week. I think we'll appreciate the break. I think all our games have gone to 4 days so far, albeit with quite a lot of rain delays and stuff. I think it will be good, for them to just mentally recharge a bit and just reflect on what's gone wrong so far. Pretty much everyone really probably has some thinking to do. I think everyone's no one's had a perfect season so far. So yeah.
And it also gives Craig and Josh time, hopefully, to get fit. I mean, I don't know. Nancy knows better than me, I'm sure, that where they are in their fitness. But the extra week's not going to hurt.
No. Well, Josh Davey was doing a bit of 12th man, and he didn't look particularly restricted in his movement on whatever days he was doing it. Well, pretty much all days, I think. I don't think I saw Craig at the ground, so maybe he's off getting some proper physio or something like that. But I think I'd be very surprised if Josh wasn't fit for Northampton in a couple of weeks' time. Craig might be a bit more touch and go. I don't know.
They were both in the squad, weren't they? So they must have been reasonably close to being fit again.
I don't know why they were in the squad. It didn't seem to make any sense to me. Neither of them was ever going to play. They'd be mad to, with Craig Overton limping on his left foot and Josh Davey with a pulled hamstring. Neither of them were ever going to play. Why didn't they put one or two of the youngsters in the squad and give them a bit of a big up?
Well, they did. Casey Aldridge, I thought his bowling figures didn't quite do him justice. 19.2 overs for 119, whatever it was. Didn't. I know he took one wicket towards the end, but him and Lewis Gregory, we've asked them to show application over the last few years, I suppose, and I thought the pair of them batted really, really well on that Sunday afternoon. Don't think they looked a lot in trouble, really, did they?
No, he batted really, really well. But Josh Davey has batted really, really well as well. What we need is some bowlers who can take wickets, not bowlers who can score useful runs down the order. And in all honesty, Casey Aldridge did not bowl particularly well, as his figures rather demonstrate. And I'm not sure that Josh Davey is going to be fit for Northants. So I don't know. It's all a bit depressing, really.
Well, no, he did find a couple of edges. I thought he was. I mean, his figures were a little bit spoilt by that over where he was told to bowl bouncers. I thought he.
Yeah, and towards the end, he did bowl much better, and he was very unlucky. He found the outside edge several times and didn't carry into the slips, and he could easily have picked up 2 or 3 wickets. But early on, when he first came on, when Jennings and Wells were cutting loose, he was, inconsistent in line and length. He was bowling both sides, and he was bowling the wrong lengths, and they made hay.
Well, he can learn consistency. One thing I think you find it a lot more difficult to learn is bowling those magic balls that find the edge, and he bowled a few of those. So just cut out the rubbish, keep the good stuff, and we got a player on our hands. A few people have asked on social media about Jack's seemingly lost ability to bowl dry. I mean, to be fair, they did take a very positive approach against him, particularly on that Friday afternoon. Are we worried? Are we worried about Jack? Is he sort of gone full Bazball and kind of forgotten that sometimes at Taunton he does need to do a job and bowl dry? Or was he just a victim of...
Well, Jason Kerr said he was trying to take wickets rather than bowl dry, which, if those were his instructions, fair enough. But he's got his wickets in the past on flat pitches by bowling dry and frustrating batsmen into, playing the wrong shot, putting the pressure on. And he didn't honestly bowl very well on a pitch that didn't offer him anything really. But yes, I'm a bit worried about him, and I'm not qualified to say what the problem is, but he doesn't seem to be quite the threat that he has been in the past, and he doesn't seem to be able to consistently keep the right line and length in the way that he always has done in the past.
Yeah, I mean,
and also I think sides are taking a leaf. I've been saying this on commentary. Sides have been taking a leaf out of the Australian book and going after him, and that's hard on a flat pitch. It makes it, if you're a finger spinner and you've got the opposing batsmen who are coming after you, you haven't got much in the way of a counter.
Yeah, Leachy's numbers is here: 73.1 overs, 10 maidens, 7 for 320, taking his wickets at 45.71. Economy rate of 4.37, which I would have is probably a good run and a half higher than where we would like it to be.
Yeah. He hasn't taken a fiver at Taunton since the last game of the 2019 season, which obviously isn't a coincidence because the pitches since then just haven't helped him anywhere near as much, have they? You know, spin at Taunton has been dead since then because we've not been able to. Well, we've obviously felt unable to produce pitches that suit spin. I mean, obviously we need to try and find that balance, don't we, and not go too overboard while still providing some assistance for spinners on days 3 and 4. And we've obviously just not been able to do that. The pitches at Taunton have just been, I don't know, they're sort of, we've tried different things, but the ground staff haven't quite got it 100% right yet, have they? There's been some good pitches, I think, in the last few years, but a lot of the time it is just too flat. Or in that Essex game last year, it was obviously a lot of assistance for the seamers, so there needs, still some work to do there.
Yeah, it seems to be that the classic Taunton pitch of the last few years is it's done a bit on the first morning and then it's just flattened out like it did in the last game against Lancs. It seems to be that's the bad Taunton pitch, if you like. I don't know. Would you rather have the Essex pitch from last year, where it was all over in 2 days or whatever it was, and sides are getting bowled out for 100, or would you rather have 440 plays 550 plays 280 odd for 6 on the last day?
Well, you want the happy medium, don't you?
You do.
I mean, what you want is a pitch that's got a bit of pace and bounce and movement on the first couple of days, and then wears so that it's offering the spinners something towards the end, halfway through the third day and on into the fourth. But how you produce a pitch like that in April after all the rain we've had, I really don't know, and I'm very reluctant to criticise Scott Hawkins and his team, who've worked so hard to get the ground fit, and they're doing their level best. But I do think we need to have. I honestly don't understand what Andy Hurry and co are trying to achieve with pitches. What sort of pitch they're aiming for? I mean, we ought to. Other sides, if you go down to the Aegeus Bowl, the pitch is tailor-made by the former Somerset groundsman Simon Lee, tailor-made for their seam attack, and. All right, it's a very, very good seam attack, and ours probably isn't quite as good as that. But if that's our strength, then that something more like the Essex pitch is what we ought to be aiming for. At least, that's offering the seamers something on the first couple of days. But I don't understand. I mean, if you ask them what's the pitch policy, we're trying to produce pitches that are as good as possible. That. We reckon we can win games on any sort of pitch, so we want a really, really good pitch because we'll win games. Well, that's fine talk, but the last 4 days against Lancashire, we wouldn't have won that game. It'd have gone on for a week, I don't think.
Well, you'd have missed your flight, Gibber, if it had gone on for a week, so thank goodness it didn't.
If Keaton Jennings hadn't done his hamstring, God knows how many runs he would have scored.
Yeah, that was particularly fortunate that he did it the over before the new ball, and then a couple of loose shots, particularly from de Grandhomme, got us back in the game on that, was that the third afternoon. It's quite a marked distinction in the bowling between the haves and the have-nots, if you like. Lewis Gregory, 16 wickets at 18. Peter Siddle, 10 wickets at 21.5. And the next best, Jack Leach, 7 at 45. Craigo. Can you stick your head out the window and tell them little rascals on their mopeds to be a bit quiet, Gibbo? Craigo, 2 wickets at 74.5. JD, 2 wickets at 89. Brooksy, 1 wicket at 79. In case you're just not not taking a wicket, neither of Tom Lambie or George Bartlett. I mean, thank goodness those two are bowling well, else we'd really be in the proverbial. We might even be bottom of the league if. Oh wait, it's early days. Do we really read into it? Us being bottom of the league after 3 games? I don't think we can. I mean, that is.
Lewis Gregory's bowled really well. He's taken more wickets so far this season than he did in the whole of last season. He only took 15 wickets last season. He's taken 16 in the championship.
Yeah,
and bowled really, really well. He could have had several more as well.
Thank goodness he's fit. Else, yeah, we'd have really been in the doo-doo. But yeah, looking at the bottom of Division 1 of the LV County Championship, which I thought I had saved on my phone, so I was going to speak for a bit while I find it. Yeah, Somerset bottom on 22, and then Notts 5th on 29. All those sides in between 5th and 10th have played 3 games. So realistically, it's you don't get relegated after 3 games. They don't decide on relegation after 3 games. So I'm not too worried. We got Northants next week, who I'm going to touch all the wood I can here, should beat at Taunton. I think that is a massive game, which we'll chat a bit more about next Monday.
Northants was slaughtered by Hampshire, weren't they?
A lot of sides are going to get slaughtered by Hampshire this year. Right. So what do we do then?
If we can't beat Northampton, then we are in serious trouble.
Yeah, we deserve to go down. So, Steve, I'm giving you the Director of Cricket's hat for the next few days. What are you going to advise the Somerset players to do? Just sprung this on you. Just popped into my head as a good question.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask them to play Gibbo ball, because listening to Anthony, I've now decided that Gibbo ball, as opposed to Baz ball, and that is that the batsmen get runs and the bowlers get wickets. I think that's a very novel approach to cricket in the Somerset way. I think I'm worried about moving Tom Abel around the order, but if, as you said earlier, Shep, he's going to bat at 3 once Bancroft's gone, then I think Bancroft's going to have to front up at the top of the order.
Yeah.
I have to say, I love Tom Lammonby. I love the way he plays. I love the freedom he plays in white ball cricket, and I don't think in April, it's fair on him to ask him to open the batting. And I know he'd say if he was on...
That's all right, Steve. Next game's in May.
I want to do it. Well, even in May. I would much rather see Lammonby batting in and around Abel and Rue in the middle of the order, because I think we'll get more out of him. So, we've got... If I was Director of Cricket, what I'm going to say now, I'd be telling Steve Davis he's opening against Northants. I would probably... I don't know, how do you jiggle it around? I'd certainly be paying great attention to the physios. And I'd probably, if I was Director of Cricket and coach, be taking a long, hard look at myself at the moment, because it frustrates me so much, when Anthony said that, and the coaching staff said to him that Jack Leach was bowling to take wickets. And to me, that's the sort of thing we hear too often, and that's more... At the end of the day, you ascribe the tactics to fit the outcome.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't get a chance to mention this earlier when somebody said it. Go on, then, Steve. I'd just like a bit of honesty inside and outside the dressing room. Well, I was going to just go back to the point about Jack was bowling to take wickets on that pitch. It wasn't turning off the straight. So as a spin bowler, how was he trying to take wickets? And
I don't know.
The only way that I know to take wickets as a somewhat mediocre leg spinner of previous years is if it's not turning, you dot them up and wait for them to make a mistake. And you build pressure, and you bowl 6 dot balls, then you bowl 12 dot balls, then you bowl 18 dot balls, and all of a sudden, I haven't scored for about 10 minutes. And they play a bad shot. If you've got somebody, chucking it outside your off stump, trying to tempt you into a big drive and whatnot when it's not turning, you think, thank you very much. I can play 3 or 4 different... I play T20, I can play 3 or 4 different shots to that ball. If it's pitching around my off stump, I've got a bit of a decision to make and a risk to take, but anyway.
The trouble, they line up Jack Leach. take 2 steps down the pitch and hit him back over his head.
Yeah.
This is, that's because his greatest strength is that he lands the ball, well, in previous years certainly, he lands the ball in more or less the same place, ball after ball after ball. That's also, though, his greatest weakness on a pitch that isn't doing anything. Because, we've got a brave batsman who can hit a long ball like Luke Wells, or Keaton Jennings, who was coming down the pitch to him as well. And it probably helps if you're a left-hander, to go after Jack Leach as well, because he's turning the ball into you. So, there's less risk. But I don't quite understand what the strategy is at the moment with Somerset County Cricket Club. What they're, this business. When the 3 new batsmen were brought in, Dixon, Colin Cadmore and finally Bancroft, I did say at the time I was a bit unhappy that those 3 coming in would take the places of our own homegrown young batsmen. Now they've come in and they haven't scored any runs.
Well, I think the strategy was there because Dixon was recruited as an established championship opener.
Yeah, in the Division 2.
In Division 2.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose you could say, well, are there that many Division 1 openers available? Probably not. I know Steve is still clutching a candle for the day that Jake Libby signs on the dotted line on a dragon-encrusted contract. Yeah, so, I mean, there's not that many about. Okay, so we needed an opener. I think it's probably fair to say that they would have signed the best one available in the domestic market. Was there anybody else that realistically could have signed? I don't think there is. And then Bancroft has come in as a sort of a late-ish quasi-replacement for Tom Abel. Again, an established top-order player, which, to be fair, that's where we've struggled. I take your point about the, keeping the younger players out of the team, but they're all realistically lower middle order players.
You could ask Tom Banton to open, or you could ask Lewis Goldsworthy to open.
I think you're almost castrating Tom Banton if you ask him to open. I think you get more out of Tom Banton at 5 or 6 or 7 than you ever would at opening or 3.
Like most of our batters.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Should we let's just say we won't bother. We'll just take three players off the wage bill, and we'll say we'll be 30 for 3 every game. Probably not a good idea.
We are 30 for 3 every game.
That's what I mean. We could do that and just not have to pay 3 lots of wages. Easy. Yeah. And then who was the other one? TKC, and I think he was brought in as primarily, obviously, he was a fantastic white ball player, T20 player. So he was kind of brought in as to not have to sign a blast overseas. So he kind of fills that and slots in lovely to where Russo was last year. And he obviously scored 100 down at Taunton for Yorkshire in the Championship last year. So there is logic and strategy, I think, to sort of all 3 of these signings. It's just when you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, and neither of them have... none of the 3 of them have scored the runs that they're capable of, I don't think. I mean, I did feel sorry for Sean Dixon when they went off on Saturday night. I know he had a couple of chances, but when you're in a rotten bit of nick, sometimes you need a bit of luck. And he had a little bit of luck. He got himself to 14 or 15, and then they went off. I think it was a mixture of bad light and a bit of drizzle as well. So instead of kind of facing one Jimmy Anderson new ball spell of 6 or 7 overs, he had to face 2 Jimmy Anderson new ball spells back to back and having to start again on Sunday morning. So I thought he was a little bit unlucky, because any opening bat will tell you if you you get your runs after you've seen off the new ball, and you are entitled to a little bit of luck, because the new ball was the action phase of that game. That's when it was going to happen with the new rock. So to have to face that twice from the greatest player of all, certainly the greatest English seam bowler of all time, was a little bit unlucky. Oh, it was quite funny seeing him drop that catch though.
It was.
I'm not sure whether we should have highlighted it on social media in quite the way that we did. Maybe you could change it and say, "I think this was the turn. We think this was the turning point of Sunday afternoon. What do you think?" And then posted that video of him dropping that catch. But anyway, I've come off my long run for long enough. Dan, what would you if you were the doc this week? Paintballing or bowling or pub crawl or?
It's got to be a balance, hasn't it? I think you don't want to overtrain, and tell them 6 hours in the nets every day and all that rubbish. It's got to be a balance of working on batting with the batting coach while also just relaxing and taking some time away from cricket and just to refresh yourself, I guess. I think I'd be starting to look at dropping Dixon for the next game and bringing in Goldsworthy, although I think they'll bring in Bartlett. He seems to be considered the next cab off the rank. But I think the runs Goldsworthy scored last year, the fighting runs he scored away at Southport and away at Canterbury, we're shooting ourselves in the foot by not having that in the team at the moment. So I'd be thinking about getting him in. Unfortunately, there's not a second 11 game for us this week, is there? So no chance for anyone to sort of find some form there. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do, I think.
Can I make a suggestion, a guess as to what they will be doing? I bet the batsmen are going to spend a couple of days range hitting and practicing their white ball skills.
And they'll be playing golf as well.
Oh, good luck to them if they want to play golf. I think,
which is what they spend most of their time in Abu Dhabi doing.
Who told you that, Gibbo? Well, yeah. I mean, if you go there for 2 weeks, you can't really net every day, can you? But yeah, they played 3 days worth of games. Had a 2-day game and then a double header against Essex. Yeah.
Just to be clear, I'd bring in Goldsworthy for Dixon, but obviously Bancroft would go up to open and Goldsworthy probably go in at 5. TKC's got enough credit in the bank at the moment, I think, hasn't he? Another game, just about.
Oh yeah,
he's shown a bit. The first innings of this game. Didn't Tom Abel praise him at the end of day one? Said that innings sort of changed the game a bit. I don't know.
I think if you look at the type of player that he is he doing what we've expected that he would do? I mean, if he'd come in and he'd, blocked the shit out of it and scored like 17 off 145 balls in that first innings, we'd be like, hold on, that's a bit. What's he doing there? That's not the player we signed. But the player we signed went out and how was he out first? Was he caught fine leg first innings?
Yeah.
So he played
I thought he played well in the first innings. I thought that was the innings that the situation needed. Counter attack, and Tom Abel said it was that really that set up the Abel and Rue partnership. The fact that he took the attack back to the bowls. I thought that was all right. But the trouble is he goes hard at the ball all the time. And on April wickets, and probably May wickets as well, if you get a nick, it's going to carry to the slips. And good luck to him. I think he should carry on playing the way he is. In the same way, I'd like to see Tom Banton, if he gets in the side, playing that sort of way as well. Going for his shots rather than batting sort of limp-wristedly. So if you nick it, it doesn't carry through and all the rest of it. But I don't know. It's just very disappointing that we've got a completely new top order batting lineup who are producing exactly the same results as the old top order batting lineup.
Is Goldsworthy? Could we make him into an opener? Nobody thought we could make.
Well, why not? Why not? He's got very good technique. He plays with bat close to his pad. He gets a good stride in. He's got the temperament for it. He's not he's not in a hurry. He's quite happy to bat time. And it's just a shame, as Dan is saying, that he's not in the side because he's done well for us in the past. He's a local boy. He should be being given his chance. And I feel the same about Banton and Bartlett as well. I'd like to see all three in the side.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously need a batter when Bancroft goes. He's not in the Ashes squad now, so that's he hasn't quite got that to aim for as well. I'm not sure if he'd scored a couple of hundreds in these first games, would he have been on? I'll say on the plane to England. He's already here, but He might have been.
Yeah.
Was that another kind of disincentive for him? I don't know. It's all a bit moot. But yeah, I certainly think I agree with you, Gibbo. Goldsworthy could be an option to open. He kind of ticks all the boxes, really, doesn't he? And he's a bit young to be kind of pigeonholed as he's 22, so he's not quite young enough to have been an established middle order player who doesn't really want to play anywhere else. What else? Anything else on Lancashire then? What else have we got to talk about from Lancashire? I didn't make any notes today. I forgot. Done the good partnership. We talked about pretty much every player in the squad, I think, or in that side. AOB for Lancashire? You're all shaking your heads.
No. There's some good questions came in on Twitter.
Oh yeah, there's about 45,000 of those. I did pick up one of those new little earpiece radios. They're very good. They're quite nice to listen to. I hear that Anthony's offering a similar service, but you just have to go and stand by the door of the commentary cabin and keep very quiet. And it's limited to about 4 or 5. But that is available. I believe the price is some local artisanal cider, if you want to take advantage of that. Oh, how did you chat? Are you allowed to talk about your chat with the big boss on Sunday? Are you being moved?
He never turned up.
Oh, Gordon.
We live in hope.
An exasperated sigh of Gibbo's determination to rid
it's
himself.
just embarrassing when you get visiting commentators. Scott Reeves is a very good commentator, but from that position, it is very hard to ascertain clearly what is happening when the ball goes into the slips. Has it carried? Hasn't it carried? And the live stream also was not at its best for the Lancashire game either.
No, Spencer said they're having troubles.
You couldn't really tell. So it's a real problem.
Well, the sooner they find you a new home and we can give the commentary cabinet its Viking funeral ablaze down the River Tone, it'll be a lovely day for all concerned.
It doesn't bother me too much, but it bothers me that visiting commentators coming to Taunton have to put up with that sort of commentary position.
Yeah, I don't think we can further any more suggestions. I think we've done that to the extreme on previous episodes of the podcast, from sticking you on top of a lifeguard chair to up a crane or anything.
There's a perfectly simple solution, which is to put the live stream commentators in with the live stream tech people. They've got a whacking great big auxiliary press box to use. And at the moment, the tech people are occupying all of that.
I like my live stream. I like my live stream commentary box, Gib. I'm not giving that up. Sorry, I could possibly be in with the tech.
We'll go in with the
I
tech
know,
people.
Gib. I know.
It doesn't bother me, but
there will be a solution. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a solution. Did Gordon give his apologies as to what he was doing? He was up at, wasn't he up at Headingley? You said, and that was Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he was supposed to be there on Sunday.
Well, Sophie Love found her way back from Headingley to the county ground on Sunday. I think they call that a segue, Dan. Western Storm started off their Rachel Hayhoe-Flint campaign in disappointing fashion in a rain-affected game up at Headingley on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously I didn't see any of it because I was at the county ground. But yeah, I mean, Northern Diamond scored 290 in 36 overs after rain, and that's Storm gave away a lot of extras. There are 45 extras out of the 290. A bit like Somerset, actually. We get away loads of extras as well, don't we? Yeah, a bit of a worrying start for Storm. They've not strengthened over the winter, unlike pretty much every other region. There's overseas signings. Most of the regions have got an overseas player now, including Northern Diamonds, who have Chloe Tryon from South Africa, who hit 63 off 36. Whereas Storm have only lost players. They've not signed any overseas players, not signed anyone from any other regions. We've promoted a few from the academy. A player called Isla Thompson plays. She's from Wiltshire. I think she's Western Storm's first Wiltshire player. She made her Western Storm debut on Saturday. But yeah, there wasn't much to write home about, really. I think Lauren Filer bowled well by the sounds of it. And yeah, Luff and Wilson sort of had the only partnership of any note. So yeah, not the best start. But this year though, the Hayhoe Flint Trophy has 14 matches per team in the league stage rather than 7. So a lot more time to recover this year. So yeah, long way to go. Storm's next match is on Saturday at Cardiff against Thunder, and then on Bank Holiday Monday they play Southeast Stars at Bristol, and I'll be there. So yeah, looking forward to that double header this weekend with no Somerset matches. So more eyes on them, hopefully.
Yeah. Good stuff. Best of luck to Sophie Love for the Western Storm for those matches happening over next week. Right, shall we delve into the listeners' questions? I don't think many are particularly have a particularly positive outset, but we'll start at the bottom. Colin Smith says, I think we've probably done this one, Colin. The jury out on all three of Somerset's new top order bats. Nothing to suggest they've offered more than the homegrown players they replaced.
Right.
Hopefully you've answered your question already, Colin. Andy Cleve, we have to save ourselves. Save ourselves! Common theme this season, top order batting collapses to get into losing positions. Would be nice to dominate for 4 days. Andy, it'd be nice to dominate for one.
Session.
Question from Steve Tancock. We're just trying to work out how many sessions we've won this season. Steve, can you answer Steve's question? We reckon we dominated. This might be before you jumped on, Gibber. We reckon we dominated 6 sessions at least against Lancs. The last 2 sessions of Sunday, the last 2 sessions of Saturday.
Last 2 sessions of Sunday.
Well,
we were hanging on.
Well, yeah, we didn't lose many wickets, did we? We got the draw, so it's technically all right.
We were dominating.
All right, not winning sessions then. 52-48, winning the sessions. Andy Cleve, wonder if Jason Kerr thinks we can win this game. Oh, I think that might not be a question. I think that might just be a question, a comment that's come in on Saturday. Oh, yeah. Dave from Cork, who's no longer Grumpy Git. Hello, Dave. The Grumpy Git moniker is now available on Twitter should any Somerset fans wish to claim it. Yeah, bottom of the league. Andy Cleve is not panicking. Next game's a big one. Need to beat Northampton out of 2 away matches. Where are we going next? We are going to John Hayes. Can we blame this long drawn out draw on Sir Alistair Cook and Ryan Tenduscarter, who had a results pitch that produced 2 England spinners? Enter snitches there after dormant pitches. We did that a bit earlier, didn't we, Steve? You kind of brought that up out of schedule.
I don't think so. You're not going to produce spinners pitches in April, are you? No matter how hard you try.
No, because in the peak Hyderabad years were very much seamers wickets in April and May and June, and then it was sort of the spinning pitches came in sort of in the second half of the season, didn't they? And I'd love to go back to that in a way, because while those pitches weren't, people say, they weren't great for English cricket because you need to give the batters more of a chance. They were great years for entertaining cricket, and obviously Somerset generally won in those years, sort of 2018, 19, 20. But yeah, so it's a shame we can't go back to that. But hopefully, eventually, we can find the right balance again.
Do you wonder how much of a diktat is coming down from Lord saying you need to produce these kind of pitches? I wouldn't imagine that would get. Has it got any authority? Can they do that?
I don't think so.
Because obviously the Bazball.
Richard Gould is. I've discussed it with Richard Gould, and he wants to see counties producing pitches that encourage spin bowling and good games of cricket. He doesn't want to see roads where batsmen just score loads and loads of runs. There's nothing.
Not a Warwickshire fan then, is he? Get it? Roads? Never mind. Carrying on then. Yeah. But just go back, I mean, the diktat from McCullum and Stokes was, to the test grounds for the Ashes, we want flat pitches, we want fast, flat pitches, that we're going to, play Bazball on, whereas the counties are sort of going, well, hold on a minute, we are a different ecosystem to the test arena, and we have to, consider, obviously, what our members want, which I think we can all agree that the roads we're playing on at the moment aren't producing particularly exciting cricket, although if we did start playing on green seamers and we're getting stuffed every week when the likes of Abbott and Abbas et al. Come down to Taunton, Boot might be very shortly on the other foot, but Yeah, I think they just need to hold a members' ballot, say what type of pitches do you want, we all vote, and then nobody can complain forever. That'd work for me.
Fast and dry. Fast pitches that are dry pitches that will start to crumble a bit on days 3 and 4.
Sounds good to me. Andy Cleve again. Do we need to produce pitches with more life in them for our bowlers going forward? Which area in form concerns you most, batting or bowling? I think we've done that. Everything, isn't it?
Yeah. The fielding's good.
Harry Hayden. Oh, he's got 3. 1, the state of the outfield looks more like a beach than a first-class cricket ground. How are we going to host T20 games? It looked a lot better than it did for Warwickshire, although that's not saying much because it was in a pretty abysmal state for Warwickshire. What's concerning me is when you see the bowlers running in or the ball being hit into the ground, every time there's a puff of sand coming up. That's really worrying for me because these are on the areas of the pitch that haven't been affected by that lack of sunlight due to being in the shade of the mark.
Helps the commentators, so I can say whether it's carried to if it's a nick, whether it's carried to the slips or not. Is
this some sort of budget DRS that we're trying to bring into the championship? Stick sand everywhere, and if you see the puff of dust, it's not carried. We still have no clue as to our optimum batting lineup. Harry, join the club, mate. And why do our director of cricket and coach consistently fail to get the best out of our team?
Good question.
Very good question. I don't think it's one that we've got the answer to. What are they going to do about the shambles of an outfield, especially the hidden depths under the black tarpaulin? That's from Ronnie Prentice. Yeah, I'd have thought those black tarps would have been up by now, unless they are.
I think it's a growth sheet.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not.
It's not a tarpaulin. I think it must be going up through it.
I'll have a proper look next time, but from a little way away, it did look like it was a germination sheet rather than some sort of tarpaulin to cover it. So, God, there must be absolutely no grass under it if they had one of those on for 3 weeks. Right. Oh, Dave Wyatt. Why has Jack seemingly lost the ability to bowl dry? Done that one, presuming he means Leach. Would you drop Dixon for Northants? Yes. Over the next 2 games. Who opens versus Lancs? I don't know. Lammonby and Bancroft for me, because he's going to play Bancroft. You can't.
Yeah, that's when Bancroft's gone, isn't it? I think that's why he's asking.
Oh, versus Lancs. Oh, yeah. Yeah. God, I don't know. Goldsworthy and Davey. I don't know. I'll tell you what, David. We'll answer that the podcast before the Lancashire game. How many more chances for TKC? I think we dealt with that. He's that kind of player, isn't it? He's that counter-attacking player, attacking type of player who is going to give you a chance. But I think the upsides far outweigh the downsides with TKC. Another one about Jack Leach, Bob Deep Pledge. We've done that one. Ian Scovel, do you agree that Dixon? I'll tell you what, we should only do the best 5 next week. The trouble is they all come in and I'm going to have to sift through them, and I can never be bothered to do that. Do you agree that Dixon needs to be sent to the seconds? Yes. Only as a spot again if he gets some runs there? Yes. Would love to see him drop for Banton next game. Think he deserves a chance. Probably not Banton opening. Maybe somebody else. Anybody else got any comments on that?
I'd love to see. I don't care where Banton is. I just think he needs to be given a chance. He's worked so hard on his red ball game, and he needs to be given a chance to show what he can do. His last innings was in red ball cricket was a century.
I'd love to see him in the side as well, Gil, but I don't think it's fair to ask the lad to open the batting when he's... Because he scored runs in red ball cricket before, but not opening. Yeah, I know he'd say, I'll do anything for the team, I'll take a chance, and if opening means being in the team versus not opening and not being in the team, he's only going to say, I'll open to be in the team. But I think he's more of an asset for Somerset, coming in after a quality opener and a quality top 3 have put together a partnership, and the opposition are absolutely knackered, and we're 350, 400 for 4 or whatever, and then putting some tired bowlers to the sword. That is when you get the best out of Tom Banton, I would say.
He's a better player than that. He can do for Somerset what Zach Crawley does for England.
Is that Crawley doesn't score any runs for England?
Well,
right. all right, okay.
But McCullum and Stokes stick by him.
Well, that's true.
When he does,
because Rob Key plays golf with his dad, allegedly. Anyway, moving on. Right, we've all got. He
got a fairly useful 175 the other day, Zach Crawley.
Yeah, but that was
150.
They made a super flat pitch for him that Essex got about 3 million on, and it was a boring draw. But anyway. Moving on, Simon Hancock. Our team's expecting too much from Ozzy's battered to jump into English conditions with hardly any preparation and start scoring runs. Do we really get a lot of value from bringing in a player for a handful of games?
No.
Yeah, I think we go back to the Bancroft strategy being... Steve, Dan, if you want to jump in at any stage with any of these, do feel free to get...
On Bancroft, he had obviously just scored 945 or so runs in the Sheffield Shield, so he was in form. Obviously not in form in English conditions, but the only way he can get in form in English conditions is obviously to play English conditions. But the problem is, as Simon says, in a short stint, by the time you found form, it might then be the end of your stint. I reckon he's going to score a century against Northants. I said this the other day. I think he's going to score a century against Northants, Bancroft, and then that'll be it for him.
Didn't get any runs for Gloucestershire. Didn't get many runs for Durham either. Both second division sides.
I suppose Somerset will say that they reckon he's improved since then.
Well, he hasn't shown much sign of it.
No.
Anyway, I'm going to have to go.
Gibbo, I think we all are. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy Portugal. Just one more question from Kit Harris about Shoaib Bashir. Should we bring Shoaib Bashir in?
When Jack Leach is no longer available,
potentially, yes. Well, whenever. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to get him in the side where you've got Matt Henry and Peter Siddle, but good start. Has 90 wickets for the second 11 since his debut in September, an average of 9.05.
Is he overseas then?
No. Bashir, no.
No, he's not overseas.
No.
No,
but I just mean with the
well, you need a spin bowler.
Yeah, but with the congestion of bowlers, could you play... You can't really play two spinners.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right.
Cheers.
Check it under the hour. AOB, guys. Gibbo's gone.
I just quickly mentioned the Somerset women were meant to play this weekend, but didn't. They were washed out once again, which is a massive shame. Their final attempt at a group match in this Women's County T20 is... Monday the 8th of May, the Coronation Bank Holiday. They're away to Wales at Inistore. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Inistore C6 near Swansea.
Instow, isn't it?
No, it's in Wales.
YNYSTAWE. Inistore.
It is Stowe.
I'm pronouncing it.
Inistore.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, it is that. I used to live in Swansea.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'd never heard of it.
That's probably got to be completely wrong, and I've just absolutely set myself up to be slaughtered by any Welsh listeners that we got. I'm 99% sure it's Inistore. So we'll say it again. Inistore to watch Somerset women on Bank Holiday Monday in a week or so's time. Joe, it's been a pleasure.
8th of May.
8th of May.
Yeah. Thank you,
right.
Ian.
Cheers, everyone. Catch you next week. We'll have a look ahead to Northants. Ta-ra.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.